The Queen's final hour. The great alien palace floated above the glowing clouds of Xeralan 9. Its towers were made of shining crystal, reaching toward the stars. Inside, everything was silent, too silent. The Queen was dying. Queen Xelari, ruler of the Thalzar Empire, lay on her silver bed. Her skin, once glowing like warm gold, was now pale. Her breaths were slow. Her eyes, filled with ancient wisdom, stared at the ceiling. Doctors stood around her, but none could help. Her energy core is fading, one whispered. She has hours left. In the grand chamber, high-ranking nobles gathered. Their colorful robes shimmered, but their eyes were full of fear and greed. Who would rule after Xelari? Who would take the throne? Suddenly, the Queen raised her hand weakly. A bell rang. Everyone stopped talking. "Your Majesty," a noble asked, stepping closer. Her voice was soft, but clear. "Bring me the human." Gasps echoed in the chamber. "The human?" Someone repeated. "What human?" "Eli Ward," the Queen said slowly, each word a struggle. "I must see him before I pass." None of the nobles had ever heard this name before. A few looked at each other, confused. Others were angry. "But, Your Majesty," one shouted, "why call a human to your deathbed? He is no one, no warrior, no leader, no noble." The Queen turned her head and gave a small smile. "He is everything." Then she closed her eyes and fell into deep sleep. The room fell into chaos. Who is this Eli Ward? Is she losing her mind? Find the human, now. Far away on a dusty mining planet called Jericho 7, a man wiped sweat from his face. His name was Eli Ward. He worked alone, fixing old machines in the desert. He wore a dirty gray coat and had a long scar on his neck. No one knew where he came from. He never talked much. Suddenly, a shadow passed over him. A ship, black and silent, landed nearby. Its door opened, revealing a tall alien guard. "Eli Ward," the guard said in a deep voice. "You are summoned by Queen Xelari. Come now." Eli narrowed his eyes. "Never heard of her." The alien looked surprised. "She knows you. She is dying. She said your name." Eli stared at the ground. For a moment, he didn't speak. His hand touched the scar on his neck. Then he nodded once. "I'll come." Back in the palace, the nobles argued in the Queen's chamber. "She's mad. Humans are dangerous." But she said his name. That must mean something. General Zalek, the Queen's own cousin, stood tall and furious. His armor gleamed like fire. "No outsider will take what belongs to the Thalzar," he growled. "Not while I live." He looked at the glowing relic beside the Queen's bed. A golden crystal orb known as the Heart of Rule. It only responded to those worthy of the throne. Zalek wanted it, but the Queen had chosen someone else. As the Queen slept, her mind wandered into dreams, memories of long ago. She saw herself as a young girl, weak and afraid, hiding during a battlefield raid. Soldiers had attacked her home. Her guards were dead. She was alone. And then a human boy appeared. Dirt on his face. A wild, brave look in his eyes. He fought off the attackers. He protected her. She never forgot. His name was Eli Ward. She never saw him again after that day, but now in her final hour she remembered. She smiled in her sleep. In the sky above Jericho 7, Eli sat quietly inside the alien ship. The stars moved fast as they jumped into hyperspace. He looked out the window, deep in thought. "Why now?" he whispered. A small alien child sat across from him, part of the transport crew. She looked at him with big blue eyes. "Are you scared?" she asked. Eli didn't answer for a while. Then he gave a small smile. "Yeah," he said. "I think I am." Back in the palace, alarms rang. The Queen's pulse was dropping. "She's close to the end," a doctor said. The nobles leaned in. waiting for her last breath. But just then, a voice came through the palace system. Human guest Eli Ward has entered the system, landing in 5 minutes. The Queen's eyes opened weakly. A tear ran down her cheek. She whispered, "He came." And then, the whole palace prepared for the arrival of the one human whose name had silenced an empire. The human in the desert. The desert winds of Jericho 7 were sharp and dry, like blades slicing through cloth. Machines groaned in the heat, and the air shimmered above the rusting scrap towers. Life here was hard and quiet. Eli Ward preferred it that way. He sat outside his workshop, a small hut built from broken parts of old starships. His hands were black with grease as he fixed the leg of a broken mining bot. The robot sparked. He sighed and gave it a gentle knock. It whirred back to life. That's when the wind changed. A strange silence fell, and Eli looked up. A black shadow covered the sun, stretching across the sand. A massive alien dropship hovered above. Its engines didn't roar. They hummed, smooth and quiet like something ancient and alive. The dust settled around it as it landed. Eli didn't move. He already knew what was coming. The ship's ramp lowered. 2 tall figures stepped out. Silver armor, glowing lines, weapons sheathed but ready. One of them, a woman with emerald eyes and long silver braids, walked forward. "Eli Ward?" she asked firmly. Eli looked her over. "Maybe. Depends who's asking. I am Captain Theska of the Royal Thalzar Guard. You are ordered to come with us. The Queen requests your presence. I heard she's dying," Eli said calmly. Theska blinked. "You knew?" Eli stood, slowly wiping his hands on a dirty cloth. "I figured. I just didn't think she'd still remember me." Theska narrowed her eyes. "What is your connection to the Queen?" Eli looked away toward the hills of sand. "Something old. Something she never told anyone, I guess." Theska stepped closer. "This is not a request, human. You will come with us now." Eli nodded once. "I know." He walked inside his shack for one last look. A small photo rested on a shelf. 2 children, 1 human, 1 alien, smiling in a broken village. He picked it up, stared at it, then slipped it into his coat pocket. Outside, the guards waited silently as he returned. As the ship lifted into the sky, the miners of Jericho 7 watched from afar. No one had ever come for Eli before. No visitors, no letters, no cargo. Just silence. Now he was gone. Inside the sleek alien ship, everything felt too clean. Eli sat alone in a soft chair that adjusted itself to his shape. Across from him, Captain Theska studied him like a puzzle missing all the middle pieces. "You never told us who you are," she said. "I'm just a mechanic," Eli replied. "Lies. You are more than that. You have the Queen's name carved into your history." Eli's jaw tightened. "That's her story to tell, not mine." The ship's AI voice echoed. "Arriving at Royal Sector in 18 hours. Prepare for planetary descent." Theska crossed her arms. "You understand this has caused panic. The Queen's heir is furious. He believes you are a threat." "I believe him," Eli muttered. Theska leaned in. "Why would the Queen choose you over her own blood?" Eli looked her in the eyes for the first time. His were tired but calm. "Maybe because I didn't want anything from her." Silence followed. Later that night, Eli stood by a window. Stars flew past as the ship entered hyperspace. His reflection looked older than he remembered. He touched the scar on his neck. That day, he thought, all I did was help a scared girl. I never imagined she'd become a queen. The memory played again in his mind. Smoke, fire, soldiers, and a small alien girl hiding behind rubble. She had cried until her voice broke, and he had carried her across the battlefield, dodging blaster fire, holding her like a sister. He never told anyone. He didn't need thanks, but now it had all returned. Back on the alien capital world of Thalzar, Prime, lights lit up across the royal towers. News had spread. The human is coming. General Zalek stared at the screen in his war chamber. His face was cold and sharp. He dares return? Zalek growled. He thinks she can give him what's mine? His advisors looked nervous. Zalek turned to them. Send watchers. If he steps out of line, kill him, quietly. But the Queen will be dead soon. Zalek snapped. And when she is, the throne will be mine. Back on the ship, Eli finally spoke to the child again, the same little, alien girl from the crew who had watched him silently. Do you know what happens to people who get near power? He asked her gently. She nodded. They get burned. Eli smiled. Smart kid. She looked curious. Will you sit on her throne? He laughed a tired sound. I don't want her throne. Then why go? Eli looked out at the stars once more, because she asked. The journey to the throne world. The stars outside the ship moved like rivers of light. Hyperspace travel was fast, but strangely quiet. Inside the royal cruiser, everything was smooth, cold, and glowing. The walls whispered in a language Eli didn't understand, but he didn't ask questions. He just sat there, silent, watching. Eli Ward had been taken from the dust of Jericho 7 and placed inside something beautiful and dangerous. He didn't belong here, and yet, the ship itself seemed to know him. Do you want food? The ship's AI asked in a soft female voice. Your body shows signs of past injury and hunger. Eli raised an eyebrow. You scan people without asking? It is protocol for royal guests, the AI replied. But your readings are strange. How strange? Your genetic signature is human, but there are markers, modified, changed by exposure to something Thalzar in origin. Eli didn't answer. He already knew what it was. The day he got the scar on his neck years ago, when the alien girl, now Queen, had touched him with her bleeding hand. Something from her had stayed in him, and now it glowed faintly when he got closer to her world. Captain Theska entered the room. She was no longer hostile, more curious now. You look calm, she said. I'm not, Eli replied. She stood by the wall, arms crossed. They'll try to kill you, you know. I know. She may be queen, but her heir wants you erased. Zalek, Eli said. He was always angry, even as a boy, I remember. That surprised her. You knew him too? Just once. He wanted to pull her away from me. He didn't like humans even back then. The ship slowed as the blue mist of Thalzar Prime came into view. It was a world of rings, golden oceans, and spires that reached like needles toward space. From orbit, it looked like a dream. But Eli had no dreams about this place, only memories that haunted him. Why do you still come? Theska asked. If you fear it? Eli turned to her. Because if I don't, someone else will rewrite the story. They landed on a silver platform where guards with sharp insect-like armor waited in perfect lines. No cheers, no music. Just cold eyes. As Eli stepped off the ramp, every eye turned to him. A human? That's him? Impossible, he's so plain. He doesn't even wear armor. Captain Theska walked beside him like a shield, hand near her weapon. Don't react, she whispered. They want you to show fear. Eli didn't react, but his heart beat louder than the ship's engines. Inside the palace gates, holograms floated in the air, images of the Queen when she was strong. Her face filled the air like a god watching over them. A child ran up to Eli and touched his coat. Are you really the human she talks about? The child asked. Eli knelt. That's what they say. She smiled when she said your name. The child whispered. She never smiles. Eli's voice caught for a second. Thank you. The guards pulled the child away. No one talks to the summoned. Eli stood again, eyes burning. The queen's palace was quiet, full of glowing crystals and vines that pulsed with energy. But the closer Eli got to her chamber, the stranger he felt. The scar on his neck tingled. His hand trembled. Theska noticed. "Are you all right? Something's calling me." They reached the chamber doors, huge and glowing gold. 2 guards pushed them open. Inside, Queen Xelari lay on a raised bed of light. Her body was thin, her skin almost transparent. But her eyes lit up when she saw him. "You came," she whispered. Eli stepped closer. The room cleared. Everyone bowed and backed away. "I came because I thought I owed you." "No," she said. "I owe you." He sat beside her. She reached for his hand. "Do you know what happens when a queen names someone in her final hour?" she asked. "No. The world listens. The throne listens. The legacy binds itself." He frowned. "I don't want a throne." "I know," she smiled. "That's why it must be you." The heart of rule, the glowing golden orb beside. Her bed pulsed brighter. Eli felt it humming in his chest. "Why me?" he asked again. Xelari's voice was faint but firm. "Because when I was nothing, you saw me as someone. You didn't protect a future queen, you protected a little girl." Tears touched her alien eyes. "I want my empire to remember that." Outside the chamber, General Zalek watched through a hidden screen. His fists clenched. "He cannot take what belongs to us." His advisor spoke carefully. "The heart of rule is already reacting to him. Then we must destroy the heart. And him." Inside the chamber, the queen whispered, "Soon you'll have a choice, to lead or to leave." Eli didn't answer. The lights around them flickered. The world had already begun to change. The queen's secret. The chamber was silent now. The queen's breathing was soft, like the last flicker of a candle. Her fingers were cold, but she still held Eli's hand with purpose. Eli sat beside her, still trying to understand why this was happening. He wasn't a king. He wasn't a hero anymore. He was just a tired man who once saved a scared alien girl, but now that girl was dying and giving him her empire. Outside the glass wall, soft blue lights moved across the alien sky. The floating gardens of Thalzar Prime spun gently in the wind. Everything looked peaceful, but Eli could feel the storm building. The queen's voice returned, weak but clear. "Eli, I kept something from everyone. Even Zalek." He leaned closer. "What is it?" "The day you saved me, something changed in you." Eli touched the scar on his neck. "I've always felt that. I touched you with my blood. Thalzar blood, our ancient energy. It stayed in you. I didn't mean to give it, but you took it. Is that why I hear voices sometimes?" Eli asked quietly. "Why machines here respond to me?" She nodded. "You became part of us. Not fully human, not fully Thalzar. Something in between." Eli stood and walked toward the heart of rule. The golden orb sat on its pedestal like a living sun. He reached out. The moment his fingers touched it, light flowed through the room. The nobles gasped from the shadows. The relic was glowing brighter than it had in centuries. Even the AI in the palace spoke. "New bond detected. Human DNA merged with ancient line. Recognition valid." Theska stepped back in awe. "It accepts you," Zalek's spies watching from a hidden alcove whispered in fear. "The relic obeys him. It sees him as royal." The queen smiled. "Now you know. That's why I called. You're not just someone who saved me. You became part of my bloodline, without knowing." Eli shook his head. "You should have told me." "I wanted to, but you disappeared. You left after the war." "I didn't want power," he said. "I still don't. But now it wants you," she whispered. Suddenly the doors burst open. Zalek stood there with guards in red armor. "Enough," he roared. This is a trick. He is a human. He does not belong on this world. The nobles froze. Even the guards hesitated. No one dared interrupt the queen in her final hour. But Xalak didn't care anymore. He'll destroy everything we built, Xalak shouted. You've always been weak, Xelari. Eli stepped forward. She's stronger than you ever were. Xalak drew his weapon. Say one more word, human, and I will end you right now. But before anyone could move, the queen raised her hand. The heart of rule pulsed, and energy threw. Xalak back like a wave. Her eyes glowed briefly, one last flash of power. Touch him again, she said, and the throne itself will burn you. Xalak scrambled to his feet, fury in his face. You will regret this. He stormed out, but his eyes told the truth. He wasn't done. Later, the queen rested again. Her voice was fainter than before. I will die soon, she said. But I want you to remember something. Eli sat beside her, silent. You don't need to be a king, she said. You just need to be kind. The galaxy has enough rulers. It needs protectors. He nodded slowly. And if I walk away? Then I'll still be grateful, she whispered. Because you came back when I needed you most. Outside the room, the nobles argued. If he's accepted by the relic, the law binds us. But he's human. Maybe that's why the queen chose him. Theska stood at the door listening. She knew what was coming next. War. As night fell on Thalzar Prime, Eli stood on a balcony overlooking the glowing city. The lights looked like stars beneath his feet. The queen slept behind him, her breath slow. He pulled the small photo from his pocket, himself and the alien girl he once rescued. She had become a queen, and he was becoming something else. The heirs' anger. Xalak did not sleep that night. He paced across the marble floor of his private war room. The stars above the glass ceiling seemed to mock him. A human, a filthy human, was now bonded to the heart of rule. And the queen had allowed it. He slammed his fist into the wall, cracking the crystal panel. This is treason, he hissed. She betrayed her own bloodline. Behind him, his loyal advisor, Nera, stood quietly. General Xalak, she said softly. The people saw the relic react to him. If you strike now, the Empire might see you as a traitor. Xalak turned to her, eyes wild. They already see me as a shadow of the Queen. No more. I will not let some dust-born outsider take what is mine. But if the heart accepts him, the law, then we change the law, Xalak growled, or we destroy the relic before it completes the bond. Meanwhile, inside the royal palace, Eli sat alone in the chamber of echoes. The walls shimmered with memories, projected holograms of past rulers. Their faces stared at him in silence. He stood there, uncomfortable. These weren't his people. These weren't his traditions. He didn't even know their language until recently, when it started slipping into his mind like whispers. The scar on his neck tingled again. He touched it. Suddenly, a new memory floated into view. It was Eli, holding a child Queen Xelari in his arms, running through fire. The AI spoke. Unauthorized memory fragment uploaded from bonded host. Emotional significance, high. Eli stepped back. It's showing my memories now? The AI responded. The Queen's legacy accepts emotional truth. You are now part of its library. Eli felt dizzy. He hadn't asked for any of this. But now, it was like the walls knew his heart. Queen Xelari remained in her chamber, her body failing. Captain Theska stayed at her side, silent and loyal. You've trusted him with everything, Theska said softly. Xelari gave a weak smile, because he never asked for anything in return. In a dark underground vault, Xalak gathered his most loyal warriors. The Queen is dying. The human must not take the throne. But the relic, we destroy it, quietly. Before the bond is sealed, a warrior asked, and what of the human? Xalak's voice was sharp. Make it look like an accident. As the sun rose over Thalzar Prime, golden light poured into the palace. Eli stepped into the Hall of Unity, where alien leaders waited. Some looked at him with curiosity, others with disgust. Do you think yourself one of us, human? A noble asked. Eli didn't answer. Another said, You carry the queen's favor, but you do not wear her blood. Eli looked at them calmly. She didn't ask me to wear her blood. She asked me to carry her hope. Murmurs filled the room. But before more questions could come, an explosion rocked the far wall. Guards screamed. Smoke poured in. From the shadows, Zalek's soldiers charged forward, blades drawn. Protect the human, Theska shouted. Eli ducked, behind the relic platform as red-armored warriors clashed with palace guards. Blades sparked. Screams echoed. Zalek appeared in the chaos, moving straight toward the heart of rule. No, Theska blocked him. You would break the ancient bond? I would break him, Zalek snarled. Their swords clashed, energy sparking in the air. Eli stood and faced the relic. The orb pulsed, almost afraid. He placed both hands on it. The moment he did, light exploded from the orb, knocking everyone back except Zalek. Zalek stumbled toward Eli, his blade raised. I'll end this now. But the orb flared again, this time reaching into Eli's chest, glowing through his scar. A voice filled the hall. Bond complete. Legacy accepted. Human designation. Guardian of the crown. Zalek froze. No, it cannot be. Eli's eyes glowed faintly, gold like the queen's. It's done, he said quietly. Zalek screamed and fled into the smoke, vanishing with his soldiers. After the attack, the queen's chamber was quiet. Eli sat beside her once more. It's finished, he said. He tried to kill me. He tried to destroy the relic. Zalari opened her eyes one last time. But you lived. I didn't want this. I know, she whispered. That's why the galaxy may have a chance. She took a final breath, and Queen Zalari, last daughter of the golden bloodline, passed away with a soft smile. The queen's legacy. The golden light in the queen's chamber dimmed the moment her soul left her body. Captain Theska stood in silence. Her head bowed, her eyes wet. Eli didn't cry. He just sat still, holding the queen's cold hand. His fingers trembled, but his face remained calm. He wasn't just mourning a queen, he was mourning the only person who ever remembered why he mattered. The room's AI voice whispered like wind through leaves. Queen Zalari of House Zanlareth has passed. Final heartbeat recorded. Crown ship pending transition. All across Thalzar Prime, massive sky banners turned black. Bells rang through floating cities. Ships halted in orbit. Aliens wept in every province. The queen, who had ruled with wisdom for 40 years, was gone. But the next ruler had not yet been named, and that terrified them. Meanwhile, deep in the vaults of ceremony, the heart of rule floated above a glowing pedestal. Eli stood before it, silent. He wore no crown, no armor, just a dark coat and worn boots. Yet the relic responded to him like he was born of stars. Light moved through its crystal body. Ancient glyphs lit up the room. Theska stood beside him. It's offering you the right. I don't want it, Eli said. Then why is it calling your name? Eli looked down. Because the queen gave me something more than duty. She gave me her final wish. The relic pulsed. A new symbol formed, a shape resembling Eli's old scar. Bond sealed. Protocol unlocked. The queen's legacy recording. A soft hum echoed. A blue hologram rose from the pedestal. It was Zalari. Not sick, not dying. But younger, strong. How? She looked the day Eli saved her. She began to speak. If you are watching this, her voice said, then I am gone. And Eli Ward, you stand at the edge of something much bigger than yourself. The image of the queen turned, addressing the room. You all knew me as your ruler, but before that I was a child. Forgotten. Hunted. I would have died, if not for a human boy who carried me through fire, across a battlefield of metal and bone. He asked for nothing. He stayed only until I was safe, and then he vanished. She paused, her voice lowered. I searched for him. Years. But the stars are wide, and humans are hard to trace. Until the day I saw him again, working in the desert, alone. The hologram turned toward Eli now. I called you here not because of your blood, but because of your heart. You are not a prince. You are not a warlord. You are a protector. And that is what this empire needs now. The hologram faded. Silence filled the chamber. Theska looked at Eli. What will you do now? Eli stepped away from the relic. I'll protect her wish, that's all. But the people expect a ruler. They'll get one, Eli said, just not the one they imagined. In the shadowed corridors of the palace, Xalak watched everything on a stolen viewing screen. She gave him her blessing, he muttered. She left him the relic, the people will bow. Nera stood behind him, tense. We cannot fight that. But Xalak's eyes burned. Then we become something they fear. Eli walked through the royal halls, stopping at murals of past kings and queens. One painting was unfinished, meant to be of the next ruler. He stared at the empty frame. I'm not one of them, he whispered, but I won't let their empire fall. Later that night, a meeting was called. Hundreds of noble houses, alien leaders, and generals gathered in the Grand Circle Hall. Eli stood at the center. No crown. No speech prepared, just truth. I didn't come here to rule, he said. I came because a dying woman asked me to be with her. She didn't ask for a king. She asked for a guardian. Someone to hold the line to make sure this place doesn't fall into war and greed. I can't promise greatness, he said. But I can promise this. I will protect her people, the way I once protected her. The chamber was silent. Then a voice rose. I vote for the guardian. Another followed. Then dozens. The relic pulsed. The rite was complete. Far above the palace, the stars shimmered like eyes opening across the galaxy, and the human now stood as protector of the crown. But darkness still waited. Xalak had disappeared, and he wasn't done yet. Rise of the Human Regent. The throne of Thalzar stood empty beneath the high crystal dome. For the first time in 1,000 years, no royal blood sat upon it. But the heart of rule pulsed steadily. The people waited, not for a king, but for a man who had no throne, no army, and no crown. Only a promise. And a name that now echoed across star systems. Eli Ward, the human guardian. Inside the palace, he stood before the council once more, this time wearing a simple robe of silver, thread, no armor, no weapon. The nobles looked at him with mixed eyes, some with hope, others with cold doubt. He began to speak. I don't come here to take power, Eli said. I come to protect what Queen Xelari believed in. She didn't want war. She didn't want thrones soaked in blood. She wanted peace, real peace, and that starts with truth. He looked up, his voice steady. I'm not one of you. But I loved someone who was, and I will honor her legacy, even if it costs me everything. High above the planet, in the dark, fields of space, a forbidden ship crept past the orbital defense grid. Inside it, General Xalak stood with rage burning in his eyes. He wore dark armor made of forbidden alloys, and in his hand was a twisted version of the royal crest. Stolen. Corrupted. The queen is dead. The throne is unguarded, he told his warriors. And the people kneel before a human. He spat on the floor. Not anymore. Back in the capital, alarms began to ring. The sky turned red. Theska rushed into the Hall of Echoes. Xalak's ship has entered the atmosphere, unregistered and armed. Eli didn't flinch. He's coming to take the relic. Theska nodded, grimly. Or to destroy it. And you. Xalak's ship descended like a falling star, crashing into the garden courtyard of the palace. Fire bloomed behind him as he stepped into the open, surrounded by his own private army, mercenaries and traitors. I will not bow to a human, he shouted. Eli walked out alone to meet him. No guards, no guns, just him, and the relic glowing softly behind him. Still hiding behind her gift? Xalak laughed. She's dead. You don't belong here. Eli stepped closer. Neither do tyrants. Xalak drew a sword shaped like a fang. You think words will stop me? No, Eli said calmly. But she will. He turned, and behind him, the heart of rule floated higher than ever before, shining like a new sun. It pulsed once, and the very ground answered. Energy flowed from the relic, wrapping Eli in golden light. Not armor, not a weapon, but memory, the strength of generations, the voice of Queen Xelari, and the will of 1,000 years. You're too late, Eli said. Xalak roared and rushed forward, blade raised. Their weapons clashed, Eli holding only a shield summoned by the relic's power. Metal screamed, sparks flew. Eli pushed forward, each step heavier than the last. You fight like a ghost, Xalak yelled. You're nothing. But Eli didn't stop. With one final strike, he shattered Xalak's sword and sent him crashing to the ground. The battle was over. Xalak lay defeated, gasping. I should have ruled. Eli knelt beside him. You were too busy trying to be powerful, he said. She just wanted someone who cared. By nightfall, the city gathered in the Sky Plaza. The heart of rule floated above the palace, and from its light came one final message. Queen Xelari's voice. Let this be our future, one shaped by courage, not blood. The people bowed, and for the first time, they did not bow to a ruler. They bowed to a protector. Days later, Eli stood at the edge of the queen's garden. The flowers she loved had bloomed once more. He spoke softly to the wind. I'm still not a king, Xelari, but I'll guard what you gave me. Theska joined him, hands behind her back. The galaxy watches you now. Let them, Eli said, with a half smile. Maybe they'll learn something. And so the human guardian sat not on a throne, but stood beside it, not to command, but to defend, not to rule, but to honor the woman who once believed in him when no one else did. The End.